now 6:02 p.m. on this, the 27th day of July, 2023, and I call this special meeting of the United Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. May the trustees please announce their presence for the record.
Gilbert Aguilar, present.
Michelle Molina, present.
Javier Montemayor, present.
Frank Castillo, present.
And Alisa Oliveros, present. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Agenda item 2, if we can all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Agenda item 3, public comment, Mr. Gonzalez, and then I know there's...
Oliveros, at this time, yes, we do have one public comment.
Yes, we have Mr. Valentin Ruiz. He states he's talking on 6A, which there's not, but just a reminder that it must be on an agenda item, and you will have 3 minutes.
He's not present. I don't think he's here just yet.
Okay, we can proceed.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 4, informational items. Ms. Benavides, budget 2023-2024 update.
Yes, good evening, members of the board, Mr. Gonzalez, Mr. Troutman, members of the audience. We're going to bring you the budget update. It's been a long season, a long budget season, but we're getting toward the end. Just want to bring you up to date with the last legislative session. We called it special session number 2. This is where the governor really wanted some property tax relief. They did end up passing something in mid-July, and here are some key details. Just to let you know, my screen is not synchronizing with your screen, so I'll say, look, this is slide number 2, or, you know. So, again, these are some key details from what passed. We are required to do our calculation for the maintenance and operation tax rate based on a new maximum compressed rate. And so Mr. Flores and his staff have been working on that. And the tax rate that we'll show you later on in the presentation will reflect the law as we know it right now. This also increased the state homestead exemption from the current $40,000 to $100,000 in 2023. It includes maintenance and operation and interest and sinking hold harmless provisions for school districts. And there is going to be a constitutional election in November to vote on these changes. If voters approve the deal, the tax cuts would start with the 2023 tax year. We are told, the next slide says that ISDs are required to calculate our proposed tax rates based as if the Senate Bill 2 will pass in November. And so TA is giving us guidance. They've given us some numbers, and the last bullet on this slide says that the proposed tax rate that we've been calculating will reflect the changes from Senate Bill 2. The next slide talks about a possible special session number 3. What we're hearing from state leaders is that once the impeachment trial of our Attorney General, Paxton, that they will come back and have a special session 3 that addresses other topics that they were not able to finalize during the regular session. Here's some possible topics that we've heard that are going to be discussed: school choice vouchers, teacher pay, school funding, and possibly accountability. There are some others, but these are some four main topics that we're hearing that they're going to discuss during that session. And so back to our own world here. In August, we will be publishing a notice in the Laredo Morning Times of a public hearing we will have on August 16th. That public notice will contain a proposed tax rate, and it'll have some other information for our public to be aware. It'll state the date and the time that we will be holding and the place where we will be holding our public hearing. On August 8th, during the board workshop, we hope to present to you a preliminary budget and a tax rate, so that when we come back to you on August 16th, we have the public hearing on the budget and tax rate. We have an action item for the board to consider to adopt the budget, and we have another item to discuss and adopt a tax rate. So we're hoping this is how August plays out, and I can't believe we're almost in August. So just a little background on our budgeted revenue assumptions. This is such a key item because tells us how much resources we have available for our budget. We did get our final certified tax values from the Webb County Appraisal District. They came in at 25.7 billion, which is an increase of 7%. What the number they gave us already includes a $100,000 homestead exemption for our homeowners. We're using a very conservative enrollment projection. In fact, we're showing really no growth. We're keeping an eye on online registration. It's coming in, it's positive, but we'll have a bigger push towards as we get closer to school, the beginning of school. Our attendance rate projection, which is really kind of our average daily attendance rate, we're using a conservative 93%. Pre-COVID, that number was more like at 96%. We're hoping we're going to have a big attendance campaign. We've talked to the campus principals the other day and said, look, we want to help you with attendance incentives and bring those kids in. They need to come in, 5 days out of the week. So we'll be working on that. Basic allotment increase, you know that there was nothing passed in the regular session, but maybe there will be funds during that October special session number 3. And then our estimated total tax rate, based on what we know right now, it's going to be in the 84-cent range. Maybe by August 8th, we might have it recalculated, but I think this is going to be very close to what our final tax rate is going to be. This is a decrease of almost 18 cents. The maintenance and operation tax rate is decreasing on its own from 85 cents to 71.5 cents. And again, this tax rate is calculated based on the latest provisions from Senate Bill 2. So these revenue assumptions, this is our revenue projection. We think our tax revenue is going to be at 183.6 billion. We provided the prior year tax revenue where we were at 203, and that's where you'll see a substantial decrease. Remember, we are decreasing our tax rate and then throw in the homestead exemption, so that tax revenue is coming down. The state revenue, we're projecting at 197.1 million, which is more than last year. Remember last year, we didn't know those 1,600 students, which luckily they did come back. So that's why there's that disparity on the state revenue from last year. And then there's other sources there that you could see. So the total projected revenue, we project to be at $421.5 million. So our budgeted expenditures right now for payroll and benefits without pay raises is over $365 million, which makes up about 87% of our budget. I know that's a very big number, but we are a human service industry. We're not a factory, so we do have over 6,255 full-time employees. So, you expect your payroll. Now, this is probably where you can see most of the school districts are at this kind of ratio. High 80% on payroll, the rest is non-payroll. And so the total budgeted expenditures right now is $419.7 million. So what's in the budget right now? We've included some positions that are needed at the schools. We've added 65 FT full-time employees to this budget, and that totals to about $2.5 million. Our non-payroll, we've kind of allocated it or broken it down by areas. The campus allocations and support is about 9.7 million. Extracurricular is about 2.8. Non-campus support, which are your departments, we broke it down by areas. CNI, campus support is 4.6. Student services, which is Ms. Morales' area, 3.8. Support services, which is Mr. Garza's areas, 6.2. Facilities construction, which is Mr. Rangel's area, is 2.1. And all the other general administration come under about $3 million. Another big ticket item is property, auto, and general liability insurance, which is estimated to be about 3.7 million. Utilities, 9.6 million, and general fund debt payments are at 9 million. So that makes up the $54.5 million. So in a nutshell, our proposed M&O budget, maintenance and operation budget, with revenue of $421.5 million. Projected expenditures with no pay raises included at this time is $419.7. And our revenues right now at this point, revenues over expenses is about $1.8 million. I think those of you who were on the board this time last year remember, you know, we had to come in and, well, we adopted a $25 million deficit. So we are in a lot better shape than we were 12 months ago. This budget does include an additional $600 per employee for health insurance, which is about $3.3 million. We are increasing the district contribution. The employee premiums will stay the same for next year, and the benefits remain the same for next year as well. And just to let the board know, especially for the new board members, our ESSER one-time payments that we did in the past, we did in 2022, we did $3,500, and in 2023, we did $2,000. And this is just for your information. Because you're going to be hearing that a lot of school districts across the state are doing these ESSER one-time payments, and we've done them in the past. So now, the pending item we are bringing to you for our budget is salary increase options. I don't know if you have this particular, it's a lot of numbers, but we do have 3 options laid out there, and the total cost and what that would do to our bottom line. All 3 options have a deficit, but it's not a $25 million deficit. It is something that Sam and his staff have worked on to see if any of these options get passed or some portion of these options get passed, that we could either cover from our ESSER 3 funds for at least next year. And remember, that session still might happen where they'll send us school funding. And also, we think there'll be savings in the budget, and we think our revenue projections are pretty conservative at this point. That we may even have more revenue by the end of the year. So we think we could cover these deficits. And so this is the last pending item, and that's why it's an action item tonight for the board to consider some kind of salary increase for our employees. And then just a reminder about the August board meetings, so that we're ready to get to the final line, get past that line. So I don't know if anybody has any questions.
I don't have any questions. Your budget, this preliminary budget is it's still a fluid document. You're still working on numbers, but that's, the positions that are there are still being finalized. We're not approving that budget today. We're just approving compensation.
We'd like the board to consider compensation tonight. We feel that all the items that we feel to start our school year with the number of kids that we're projecting, you saw a lot of the positions were campus related, so we think we're ready to start on August 15th for 41,000 some kids to show up. And you're right, it's a fluid budget, but we do hope to adopt it on August 16th.
I've got some questions on that, but I'll leave that for another
Okay.
day when we have a budget workshop.
Any other comments? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Okay, no, thank
And
you.
thank you for focusing in on the health insurance, because I know everybody is concerned about health insurance costs rising. And I commend you and your staff and the superintendent and all administration for working really hard to ensure that there was no financial impact to the employee on the health insurance fund.
You're welcome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 5, items for individual consideration. 5A, discussion and possible action to approve the proposed compensation plan, including pay increases for the 2023-2024 school year, with authorization for additional pay increases during the 2023-2024 school year, contingent upon compliance with statutory requirements from the 88th Texas Legislature. Mr. Gonzalez?
Solidaros, members of the board, at this time, before we go on with the recommendations, Superintendent, I'd like to again recognize our staff, our finance staff, also our CFO, Laila Benavides, our soup, Sam Flores, and all the staff. It's been a work in progress, and it's almost like every day we meet on this, but we obviously want to compensate our employees. We've had an interesting year, to say the least. But I can tell you, visiting campus departments, we've worked very diligently to try to get what's best education for our students. I'd like to remind also, thank you for bringing it up about the health insurance. Yeah, the budget includes an additional $600. I want everybody to know this, $600 per employee for health insurance, and that is part of the compensation package, which amounts to $3.3 million. At this time, Superintendent, I am recommending to the Board of Trustees the proposed salary increase of option 2.
Can you put that back up there? Can you
Put that up. Put that up, please. Unless you want to read each item, but option 2 is there for you for review.
No, it's fine. We can see it. Thank you.
I have it, but I think the public does.
Yes.
Zoom it in.
That's your recommendation?
The recommendation is option 2, yes, sir.
Do we
Thank
have,
That is,
Motion for discussion, I'm sorry.
oh, okay.
can you read that, Mr. Gonzalez? What does it include?
I think we have a motion on the floor.
It's okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr.
Okay, option 2 would be $1,500 for our teachers, professionals, 2% of the midpoint. The paraprofessionals, 3% of the midpoint, and auxiliary staff, 3% of the midpoint. And the rest are just cost salary increases, which are adjustments in pay for some of our staff.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second, now we can do discussion, yes. Go ahead, Mr. Castillo, do you have another motion, a sub-motion?
Yes, I do. I don't know, but I feel very strongly that teachers should get at least $2,000 pay raise. And in addition to that, that everybody start at 3.0 midpoint in the proposed salary, 3% pay raise. In addition to that, I'd like to see some help for our substitutes of an additional $5 per day for substitutes and any other adjustments that were presented as part of adjustment 2.
Mr. Castillo, is that a sub-motion?
That is the motion.
A sub-motion, because we have a motion and a second. So that's a sub-motion by Mr. Castillo. I'll second it.
I have a motion, yeah, well.
Discussion.
Discussion.
Mr. Aguilar, did you want to say something? I'm sorry. Were you going to second it? I'm sorry, maybe.
No, go ahead, Ms. Molina.
Okay.
I have a motion for
So,
discussion,
well,
correct?
We've got Mr.
we already have a motion.
We can discuss right now.
Discuss.
Mr. Castillo's motion is on the floor, which was option, I believe, $2,000 for teachers and then 3% for the 3 other components. We have, yes, sir. So
Yes.
we had a second for that, and I believe we can start discussing right now if you all would like to
And in
discuss.
addition, don't forget the $5
$5 for subs,
substitute
correct.
for subs. And any other adjustments that are already included in option 2. And that was my second motion, I guess, or my motion as presented. And did I hear a second?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a sub-motion on the floor?
Just to be clear, I'm sorry, Mr. Castillo, you want to go 3% across
Correct.
all levels, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. It was discussion, so I want to put some items just for consideration, just so that we can take a look at. I'm not opposed to that. I still think there's a little bit more wiggle room within the total amount of the budget that we're looking at. And if we can take, and I would like to hear some input over here from either Sam or Lila, if we take the $2,000 for teachers and increase that to $2,500, I think that's fair. I would like to hear what does that do to our budget, because I think there's enough wiggle room in there to take it to $2,500.
Okay, so you all see that option 3 on the screen has a deficit of 7.2 million, and maybe calculating the variation from what you all see on option 3. We're changing the professionals to 2% from 3%. From 2% to 3%. We've calculated that. And then what we heard was the $5 per day per sub increase. And then what we're hearing now is another $500 beyond the $2,000 for teachers. So the $500 is 1.4 million. And what we had calculated, the 7.2 went to a deficit of 7.8. So the 7.8, I'm sorry, I'm doing math, and I'm hoping I'm doing math right. I think that's a deficit of 9.2 million. because the 500, there's about 2,700 teachers. You do the 500, that's 1.4 million. So any increment of $100 for the teachers is $270,000. And so we added that to the sub increase and the changing the 1% of the professionals from 2 to 3. So just to follow along, right now we have a deficit of 2.6 million on the screen. Adding those changes, we had gotten to 7.8 million, and then adding another 500 for teachers would get us to 9.2 million. And Sam is checking my numbers.
I think the concern I have is going above $8 million.
It's kind of scary.
That's where I'm kind of stuck at. And let me give you some context. So I've been on the board now for almost, 12 going on 13 years. And in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of those 13 years, we've given raises. In 2010, 2011, we gave 4.8 million. 2012, 2013, we gave 12.9 million. 2013, 2014, 12.9 million. 2014, 2015, 10.8 million. 2015 to 16, 9.2 million. 2017, 2018, 12.2 million. 2018 to 2019, 5.5 million. 2019, 2020, 14.1 million. And last year, we gave 9.2 million. With no significant new money coming in. We've lowered our tax rate, which means our taxes are going to be lower for all our taxpayers. We've adopted the homestead exemption, which is an additional benefit to our taxpayers. We've adjusted the starting pay for bus drivers, for custodians. We're including coaching stipends in these increases in this proposed budget. Officer pay adjustments. These raise amounts that I've just read off are $82.2 million that we've given in about 12 years. And that's with no new money. We've got no new money. The state has pretty much maintained us. And during the COVID and the times where we were struggling, we kept all our employees. We didn't reduce our workforce at all. And I think that speaks a lot of how the district, takes care of their employees. In addition, this year, we're going to get increases to our health insurance, and the district is going to consume that as well. Now, what I've read off these are all raises. These aren't incentive pay. This is not bonuses. These aren't one-time retention payments that we gave to our teachers, which we've also done in the times that we didn't give bonuses. I would just caution the board that, to try to get as close to $8 million as we can, not go above that. I'm all about supporting our employees, and I voted in favor of all these raises and all these compensation packages that we have. And I'm going to vote in favor of raises tonight too. I just want to make sure that we don't bite off more than we can chew.
And to add to that, the extra 5 that you want to give, we're overcompensating with the insurance. We're giving $600 to each employee. So it kind of levels, and I think we did that being very cautious with the budget. We need to be fiscally responsible. We do want to give raises as much as we can, if not more. I think we're stretching our budget as much as we can. We don't want to bust our budget. That's what we definitely don't want to do. Now, again, this is a fluid budget. We don't know what's going to happen. Ms. Benavides, correct? It could be that the state might give us more funds, and we could in turn give that additional 500 to the teachers if that were to happen. We don't know what's going to happen, so we have to be very cautious.
That's correct. In fact, the way the action item is written, it allows you to come back, just in case something gets passed in that session, to come back and do any type of adjustments.
I understand.
Yes, we look at the numbers. We appreciate your recommendation of adding 500. If you were to have that, Mr. Montemor, it kind of does sit well with you at $8.5 million, and that's kind of that cushion that you're talking about, sticking around $8 million.
Yes, because my only concern is, I get it. You want to go 3%. However, 3% means nothing until you put a number behind it. So when you're looking at salaries of $50,000 and above, okay? Depending, pay grade 5, 6, and further up, that 3% becomes more. When there's a disparity, because when you're looking at at salaries of pay grade of 4 below, right, under 5,000, 50,000, now you're looking at the majority of our employees, teachers, bus drivers, food service. You're looking at all, that creates a disparity. So I just want to make sure that if we're going to pass something, it's going to be fair, and a big chunk, a chunk here is not going to get more than the majority that we have here. Okay, I just want to make sure that's taken into very close consideration, because when you're looking at the two buckets, business operation group, certified educator group, okay, I see here that we have professionals at 3%, but you also have pay grade 1, 2, all the way to 5 within that professional. It's not just top administration. Okay, I just want to make sure everyone takes those things into consideration. And if these employees are going to make more than what our teachers, okay, which are in the trenches, our teachers are going to be receiving tonight, then that's a disparity. I'm going to come back and say, bring back this section, okay, and let's give a little bit more to the teachers.
Okay, if I may.
Yes.
So teachers make more than 50,000, am I correct? Starting pay is over 50,000, so they're not in that category. And not only that, but teachers are in their own category. We don't include them in the 3%. And then we calculated that they were very close to everybody else. That's why we wanted parity. We didn't want disparity by doing, this group more, this. We wanted to create an air of fairness across the board. Everybody has different job responsibilities, and they're paid according to their job description and according to the credentials that come along with that job description. We already have teachers in their own category. So they're getting very close to what will average-wise be a 3% for everybody else. Now, again, this is a fluid budget. What happens when you do disparity in your percentages is that you have people who are called administrators. The top administrators are nominal. There's not a lot of them. We're talking about administrators. You have your counselors in there. You have and I don't mean to offend anyone, but you have your lower level salaried people, your group of administrators who could be topped. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this has happened. When there's disparity in your percentages, paras can make more than administrators. So we need to be careful not to do that. Am I correct, Ms. Benavides, in saying this?
Paras make more than administrators?
Pay grades. It happens, pay grade
has
1
happened.
to professionals, probably all the way up to 3 or 4. Once you start giving them a lower percentage, that could happen.
I've heard that it has happened, in at least 3 instances,
But
where the
you all have
paras
the
make.
salary history.
It has, yes, ma'am, it
yeah.
has.
So the disparity is when you don't go across the board. When you don't go across the board, then you're creating all these different fluctuations of salaries, and it creates what you don't want, disparity. That's what we don't want. And again, teachers all make over 50,000. They're not included in that tier, because the starting salary for a teacher is what, 53? That's with 0 experience?
51, I think.
Yeah, 51. It will be increased. It'll go to 52.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're not even in that category of 50 below.
For the record, you said 52.5
Yeah.
Starting teacher.
with the 2,000.
With the approval of this.
Tonight. With the adjustment for now, we're recommending tonight, the adjustment, yes.
So 52, or would y'all recommend 22.5?
Yeah, that's what we thought, something in the middle, right? Because we're still pending that session. Now, remember, that session might come and say, give more teacher pay.
Right.
Like, it could. Right now, it's just so hard to predict. But like Sam had calculated right now, kind of in between, dividing 500 in half would get us to a deficit of 8.5 million. With a 3% for everybody, and then 22.50 for teachers. And I'm going to tell you, we've shared the salary history with you, and I think that is a good point right there.
Does that also include the $5 a day for the sub?
And the $5
It includes the
per sub.
$5 for the
Yeah,
sub.
the
And I
$5 per day per sub and the
I'll
adjustment.
take Ms. Molina.
No, we have a sub motion. My sub motion is,
So-
Well,
again,
but I can make a sub to your sub.
Okay.
So let me
just clarify what's on the.
Let me just clarify it so I can.
Okay.
So basically, taking Mr. Castillo's motion and Mrs. Molina's comments, and I'll make a motion that we propose a salary increase to teachers of $22.50, and then 3% of the midpoint for professionals, paraprofessionals, auxiliary staff, and a $5 increase to substitute teachers.
And may I also recommend, just for the motion language, that we do have authorization for additional increases during the 23-24 school year contingent on compliance with statutory requirements from the 88th legislature.
I'll include, as read off by Mr. Troutman.
Also that group, that category that we're adjusting salaries, the bottom line.
The adjustment.
Yes, that's included in the,
Yeah,
yes.
so you include that in your motion.
And then include that as read off, just put the
Yes,
numbers
sir.
on top of that.
Okay, so we have
Is that
a,
fair?
we have a sub motion, and sub motion. Is there a second to the sub motion made by Mr. Montemayor?
Second?
Do we have a second? Okay.
Second,
So then I'll call the question. Is there any other discussion?
Yes, I'd like to know a little bit more, to be clear, what it is that you're requesting, Mr. Montemayor, or, anyway, go ahead.
You want my sub?
Yes, because I never got a chance to explain my sub.
Go ahead, you have the floor, Mr. Castillo.
So I'm adopting Mr. Castillo's sub, and I'm subbing him out. To, the proposed salary increase would be to $2,250 for teachers. And then for the other categories, professionals, paraprofessionals, auxiliary staff, 3% of the midpoint. An additional $5 to substitute teachers.
Per day.
Per day, and then your cost of salary increases, as read off in your presentation, contingent on the outcome of the 88th legislature special session.
So just to be clear,
Just to-
right?
okay.
This pay raise will happen, then the session will start, and we will be listening, okay, what are y'all passing at the state level, and we'll come back and bring you up to date. But these pay raises would start effective with the new school year, and so
These are not constituents on anything. These are,
These, yeah.
we are committed as a district to these
Yes.
raises.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say.
We're passing that budget to
Yes.
be effective
Yes.
So if the
August
state
15th.
comes in and says, they're proposing less for teachers, don't worry, we're already doing what we're doing tonight, you're gonna
Right.
get what we get.
Right.
If they come in and say more, and it's funded, then the teachers get more. So that's why it's very fluid. We can't, we know this is the bottom line. This is what you're getting, no less. It could be more.
So the motion as I read, the only difference, Mr. Mayor, is that you want to add $2,250 in addition to.
You want to add an additional 250, not 2,000.
Round
It's
it
a
off to the
correction of
100.
just, it's a correction of just the increase of $250 to the
Okay.
$2,000.
That was the
An
only
increase
difference.
of $250 to my motion of
The
2,000.
only reason because of the deficit that we're also facing, that kind of helps us
Yes, sir.
Balance out.
maintain a.
Well, I just want to say, I'm sorry, I interrupted. Okay, what I wanted to say is, of course, that's why I'm recommending 2,000 instead of 1,500, because I think we're also, I don't think we're forgetting, I think we all are living the high cost of living right now. And gas prices, food prices, everything is important, not only to administrators, but to teachers and staff who work out there, counselors. It's affecting everybody, and that's why I decided to go with a higher number. But since that was the only option that we had, that's why I decided to go with that. But now that you mentioned an additional $250, I'm okay with it, provided the budget is sane, right, and balanced as much as possible.
Yes, we're comfortable with it.
And that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Just for the record, I want to thank the board for, so everybody know that we have worked, together, doing this budget meetings and numbers and stuff with the staff, and we value everybody equally, and that's what we're doing here tonight. And based on the teachers, I know the union is here, and they do all their hard work, and this is going to their teacher retirement, which is something big, and the more we can put it in there, it's something that it's going to get to the classrooms and the students, and we're going to keep moving United forward. I'm all for the races across the board, and the $5 for subs is something that, it's an impact of about $600,000 roughly. That's what So it's something that we're gonna get more subs coming to the district to help our teachers, relieve a little bit of, their pressure and in the classroom. And I know in October in special session, we hope we can get more teacher pay, school funding, and accountability. So that's gonna be something plus this, and we're committed, like Mr. Gonzalez said, as a board, as a team. And that's something that, being new here in the board, I'm trying to do with everybody, and so far, we're doing good, and we're gonna continue moving forward.
Okay, drum roll.
Silence.
Comments? Okay, drum roll. Call to the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations. That's it. We will adjourn. Thank you very much.